Bismillahi walhamdulillahi assalatu wassalamu ala rasulillah mabad rabbi shrah li sadri wa yassir li amri wahlul 'uqdatam min lisani yafqahu qawli. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, my dear brothers. Today, inshallah, we are starting new surah, Surah Al Muminun, and we will try our best to cover from ayah number 1 until 30. Just like every time we start a new surah, we will just go through a quick introduction of this surah. This surah was revealed in Makkah. It has 118 ayahs. The name Al Muminun, the meaning of it is the believers. The believers is a direct translation of Al Muminun, and we will, from the start of this surah, the first 10-11 ayahs are amazing for any Muslim because they will define us what truly the believers are. So I'll need all of your attention, inshallah, as we go through the lesson today. The context is that it was revealed in Makkah in the mid-Makkan period, and the opposition of the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ and his companions had already started. Still, the persecution was yet to come. So this is the training period of the Muslims, the new Muslims, and the companions of the Holy Prophet Muhammad ﷺ, and Allah SWT is defining the characteristics and qualities of a believer. So this is one of the key topics that is being covered in the first 10-11 ayahs of the surah. Then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala beautifully explains the stages of human creation and how it is in itself a sign for us. We'll also cover that today. Then the stories of Prophet Nuh alayhi salam and Prophet Hud alayhi salam are covered in this surah. We will go through partially, so we'll go through the story of Prophet Nuh alayhi salam, inshallah, and then the next story we will cover in the following classes, inshallah. Fact that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has not charged any soul with more than what it can bear. This is something really reassuring for Muslims as well. This will also be covered, inshallah, in the surah. And guidance to repel evil with good and to seek the protection of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala against the temptation of shaitan. Again, a very actionable topic, especially in the times in which we are living today. So this is more or less the key learnings that we will inshallah try to get, and the introductory points from the surah. So let's start today's, yes, there is one more, sorry. The fact that the disbelievers will never get salvation. So if you disbelieve, and even if you do good deeds, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala rewards you in this world, but in the hereafter, there is no salvation for the disbelievers. Now, moving forward to today's lesson, A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. I seek refuge in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala from shaitan, the outcast, the cursed one. Bismillahir rahmanir rahim. In the name of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the most gracious and the most merciful. Qad aflahal mu'minun. Indeed, successful are the believers. So here Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, from the start of this surah, defined the end state. What is the end state? End state is something that is, when you're planning something and when you want to paint a picture that how it will be or what will the outcome be, you try to send out an end state. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala directly starts off the first ayah of this surah is giving to us a very exciting end state of this entire journey, the ups and downs that we go through this life, and the ultimate success that we want to achieve. We want to be successful in this world, right? For example, the way we set up the world, we believe that success is only, getting a very good education and then eventually landing a good job or starting your own business, making a lot of money, getting a lot of wealth, getting powerful and everything else. However, we know that for Muslims, there is something more and much more beyond this world that is even more everlasting. That is the success of the hereafter. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is starting this surah. Indeed, successful are the believers. And when we see this first ayah of this amazing surah, the question that we need to ask ourselves, and not just right now, but also this question we need to continuously ask ourselves as we go through our lives. You guys are, mashallah, very young. You're just starting your lives. So you have to ask this question to yourself in every important step that you take in your life, or in or almost on a daily basis, so that you're always self-assessing yourself. Am I reaching that end state that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is defining? So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying, indeed successful are the believers. So we need to ask ourselves, first of all, do we really believe? Are we really amongst the believers? And who are the believers, of course? That comes to the another question, that how can I qualify, or how I can say that now I'm a believer? So first thing is, obviously we have to believe that this guidance, this Quran that we are all trying to understand and read together is a revelation from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And there are different signs, different ayahs that continue to come. So those should be reassuring us, right? And then once you start believing in the revelation and the Holy Quran and the Hadith and the Sunnah of the Holy Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam and everything that we have been told to believe as part of our Iman, then you have to question that, do you want to be among believers? And if the answer is yes, then we have to take actions on a daily basis in order to improve ourselves as Muslims. So for example, if you're doing something not right, and we know this, right? So we all know, what is the right thing to do and what is the wrong thing to do. A lot of the things we already know. There are hardly any gray things. So you have to stop those things that you are doing that are wrong or that are taking you away from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Like you always say, that always apply the guidance filter. The guidance filter is anything that you're about to do, any decision that you're about to make, is it taking you closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala or away from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? So we have to keep asking this question, that do we want to be amongst believers? Are we amongst believers? Are we moving to the right path? Will we achieve the success that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is mentioning that will be given to the believers? Now the question becomes, who are the believers, right? And here Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will now give us a list of who are the believers and what do they do. So once the first step, you are convinced that yes, I want to be the believer. I want this success. I want success in this life. And most importantly, I want success in the hereafter. Then you will really listen and go through this list very carefully, because it's like, okay, so you want to get an A+ grade. These are the topics that you have to study. And by the way, these are the questions that will come in the exam. If somebody tells you this and you want to really get to an A+ grade, what will you do? You will try to go through all those questions and you will try to solve them and learn them and eventually get an A, right? Let's say guaranteed these questions will come, then definitely you will get an A. So here is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's list of things that we need to do in order to get an A* or in order to be successful in this life and in the hereafter. Let's go through them quickly together and then we'll discuss them inshallah. Number 1, alladhina hum fi salatihim khashi'un. Those are the ones who are humbly submissive during their prayers. They are really submissive in their prayers. Who will explain to me what does this mean? Before I go and explain, let me see. What does it mean that those who are humbly submissive in their prayers? One thing could have been those who pray. So those are the believers. But why is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala saying humbly submissive? Yes, please go ahead.
They are attentive in their prayers and they are not lazy.
Excellent. Jazakallah khairan, Umar. Right answer. So they're not lazy and they're really attentive. They're focused. It's like when you're doing something important, you're not like lethargic. You don't do it like this, or you're not sleepy. If you're doing something important and you want to really be successful in it, you are attentive. And and you do, and you give it all your focus. So Jazakallah khairan, Umar. Anything else from anyone else? What does it means that they are humbly submissive? So basically, those who are humbly submissive in their prayers is, first of all, you have to understand what are you doing and who is in front of you. So if we are true believers and we are praying for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, then we also believe that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is in front of us and we are praying for him, right? And we are worshipping Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And if we truly believe that he's the kings of the kings, he's the creator of the world and the heavens, that should make us humble. That should make all the arrogance go away, regardless of how powerful you are, how much wealthy you are, whatever you own in this world. When you go in front of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he's the one who has bestowed you everything. He's the one who has given you everything. He's the one who has given you power, position, wealth, everything. So when you go in front of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, you are humbly submissive. You are submitting. You are accepting him as your Lord. We are the ones who are dependent upon him, right? Whenever we have a request to make with someone in this world, let's say anyone we want to, let's take a parent-child relationship. When children want, and you guys obviously know this, right? When you want something from your parents, how do you go? And you go, oh, mama, baba, please, I want this. I really want this. And, you have a different tone, especially when, you are being told not to do something and then you get annoyed. Why? All my friends are doing it. And then you have a different tone when you're confronting, right? But when you know that you need something from your parents, how do you go in front of them? You're like, mama, baba. First of all, you try to use the sweetest words that will please them and that will make them smile even before you ask anything. Baba Jani, or you will say them very nicely, politely, very nice words. And then you will ask them something. And then you will continue to insist in a very humble way, right? So here we are talking about, forget your parents, we are talking about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, in front of whom you are praying. He is the one who is giving you everything. He is the one who will eventually be on the judge on the day of judgment and decide what will be our end. Will we forever go to Jannah, or will we forever go to hellfire? May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala protect us all from hellfire. So the point is, once you realize the importance of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and once you believe, you will become humbly submissive in your prayer. And this is exactly what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is asking from the believers. So the first point that we noted down, and I have a list later on, it will come in front of you, so you don't need to actually note down, but at least make a mental note, remember, is those who pray in a very humble, submissive way, realizing who are they praying for, and realizing their own, that we are slaves of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and getting that feeling of humbleness and submissiveness. So I hope this point is clear. It's not just that, okay, fine, your parent or someone asks you, father asks you, oh, go, have you gone and prayed? Yeah, I prayed. And you go in and you do tuck, 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 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then, sajda and standing, and then you're done from your prayer in a minute, and then you don't even realize, and then you go back to whatever you're doing. It's not like that. You have to be humbly submissive during your prayer. You have to realize it's the most important thing that you're doing, that is praying in front of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So I hope this point is clear. Number 2, moving forward. I love the structure of this surah, the way it is structured. First, it stated the success, that the believers are the one who are successful. And now Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is listing it down. And at the end, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will talk about the reward. The structure, and this is really amazing, and this in itself can turn someone into a believer. Alhamdulillah. So moving forward, وَالَّذِينَ هُمْ أَنِ اللَّغْوِ مُعْرِضُونَ, those who they turned away from love. Here it is translated as vain talk or something unnecessary, but love we also went before as well. It is anything that is not desired, that is falsehood, that is wrong, that is not useful, that is shameful, that is dirty, that we are not supposed to do. All of these things are love. And true believers, those who will be successful, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying that they will stay away from love. Now, if you focus today, if you look around everything that is around us, and the way we are exposed to on TV, on social media, on even when you go outside of your house and everything else, now you need to apply the filter, what is love and what is not. So what I need to consume and what I don't need to consume. And it is very difficult. It's not easy. These days, the sort of content that gets thrown at us, and literally thrown at us, even if you're trying to do a simple task of checking your email or something, and these days across all apps, especially if they're free, there are lots of pop-ups and all of these things that you cannot avoid. Most of it is love. It's in vain. It's not useful. Sometimes it's shameful. Sometimes it's an image that you should not see, and all of those things. So those are the people who turn away. And it also means from what do you turn away? You turn away from something that is presented to you. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is already telling us that we will be presented such things. They will come on our face. We will see a billboard. When we go to a mall, we will see certain things that we are not supposed to see. So what do the believers do when such a thing is presented to them? They turn it away. It can be a forwarded message on your WhatsApp. It can be something from your friend. It can be a dirty joke that you're not supposed to, and it's so funny and you feel like reading it and forwarding it. It can be an image, it can be a meme, it can be so many things. It can be your friend sitting beside you in your class and whispering something to you, or telling you a joke, or telling you something that you're not supposed to, or passing a comment even for someone who's there in your class or your teacher that you're not supposed to. So the meaning of love today is so much spread and so much in front of us that we really need to protect ourselves. And majority of the things that we get exposed to are that. So it's a very tough thing to do. And Allah SWT is clearly calling it out that the successful believers are the ones who turn away from love, which is vain, anything vain, falsehood, not in line with what Allah SWT wants us to do or get exposed to. So I hope this point is clear. Moving forward. وَالَّذِينَ هُمْ لِلزَّكَاةِ فَاعِلُونَ. Those who pay the zakat, the obligatory charity. And one of the meanings also, one of the meanings you will also see that those who purify, who do the purified deeds, because zakat or giving money away also purifies us. So those who pay the zakat, that is obligatory charity, as well as they get into action. Fa'ilun means getting into action or giving away or doing something that purifies you as well. Okay. So this is number 3, because what happens when you give zakat or when you give the mandatory money, whenever you are giving money out to someone to help them, to help the needy and everything, they are purifying you from the love of wealth. Then you don't become a miser. You don't keep everything to yourself. Your heart is not stiff. It remains soft. You remain humble when you help others. Anyways, it was given to you by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. If it is extra, you should try to give away. At least give the mandatory zakat, that is 2.5%. So this is even to help us and to train us on how to help others and stay humble and have a soft heart and continue to purify ourselves. So this in itself is an action that helps us eventually, but Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has built it. And by the way, all of these actions that you will see are eventually helping us. Praying in front of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, staying away from love really helps us in our life as well to have a healthy, happy, content life. And this giving away charity, which is part of our wealth and purifying our wealth, as well as our intent of helping others. Moving forward. وَالَّذِينَ هُمْ لِفُرُوجِهِمْ حَافِظُونَ. And those who are guardians of their modesty, who are guardians of their private parts. So those who guard their private parts as well. So here, this one is also connected to the next one. So we will read both together and then we will discuss them. Illa ala azwajihim. So those, if you look at this, what we read, and those who guard their private parts or their modesty, except ala azwajihim, from their spouses, aw ma malakat aymanuhum, or what possesses their right hands, fa innahum ghayru malumin. Indeed, they are not blameworthy. So basically, we know that males have a desire for females and females have a desire for males. This is an attraction that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has built. And this comes out in the form of sexual desire. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given us an outlet in the form of marriage and nikah, so that, we can fulfill each other's desires, the males and the females. Now, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying that you have to guard yourself and not enter into illicit sexual behavior or acts outside of this marriage or outside of your spouse. So you have to guard your private parts and fulfill your desires only with your spouses. And what possesses your right hand is basically early on, in the early days of Islam, there used to be also some slaves or slave women who were there, and men were allowed to fulfill their desires by them as well. And these slaves, they were got as a result of wars, and in the case of holy wars, when you take them and they come under when you are providing for them. So then you were allowed to basically have these relationships with those females as well. These days, it's not a common practice, and because obviously there are not real holy wars that are happening, and the people are not possessing those slaves. So right now, for our actionability, we can interpret this ayah in the form of their spouses or their wives. So we are allowed to fulfill our desires in a halal relationship of marriage and nikah, and we are not allowed to do that outside, because that is called zina. That is a grave sin. It's a major sin that we have been asked to stay away from. Okay, so this is another action of the true believers, that they only fulfill their desire with their spouses and their wives, whom they have performed a nikah and they are in marriage with them. Other than that, they're not allowed to do it. We have to guard and protect ourselves. فَمَنِ ابْتَغَى وَرَاءَ ذَلِكَ فَأُولَٰئِكَ هُمُ الْعَادُونَ. Then whoever seeks beyond that, then those are the transgressors. If you try to fulfill your desires otherwise, which is why we have been asked to stay away from all shameful things, to all dirty content, all things that we're not supposed to watch. Why? Because when you're young, this fuels your desire even more. And when it fuels the desire, then you can make a mistake when you're alone with a female or something, or a female is alone with a male, which is why it's not even allowed in Islam. Then you can go from one step to another step to another step and commit a major sin that we are not allowed to do. Which is why Allah SWT is saying, then whoever seeks beyond that, then they are the ones who are transgressors. They're not following the guidance, and then they are not amongst the true believers. I'll just pause for a moment if there is any question related to so far what we have studied. Any questions? Any comments? Okay, so we proceed. وَالَّذِينَ هُمْ لِأَمَانَاتِهِمْ وَأَحْدِهِمْ رَاعُونَ. And those who keep the trust and promises, they observe their trust and they observe their promises. So when something is given to them and they are trusted over something, and it can be any form of contract. We went through this topic when we talked about giving full measure. And we said it's not just about giving full measure in terms of the actual measuring of, vegetables and those things that we buy off by using weights, but it is also fulfilling your contracts. It is also fulfilling your promises. So here Allah SWT is saying anything that is given to them as amana, as a trust, somebody is trusting them, then they fulfill their trust, and then they fulfill their promises. They are guarding their promises and guarding their trust as well. So they're not deceiving people. They're not doing corruption. They're not trying to backbite anyone. They're not trying to take a shortcut against anyone. So they're fulfilling their promises and fulfilling their trust. وَالَّذِينَ هُمْ عَلَىٰ صَلَوَاتِهِمْ يُحَافِظُونَ. And those who are guarding their prayers. What is the meaning of guarding their prayers? Who will tell me? So earlier we saw that those who are praying with submissiveness, there is another point coming related to prayers, and Allah SWT is saying they are guarding their prayers. So who will explain to me what does this mean? Any thought, anything that comes to mind? Yes, go ahead.
Maybe it can mean that you are that they're in a state of war, and they are some group is guarding the other group while praying.
Yes, it can be, and it used to happen in the early days, especially when wars used to happen. One group used to pray, the other group used to be guarding them behind them. Jazakallahu khairan. This can be. However, here the meaning is slightly different. What do guards do? They protect, right? So the guards are protecting. What is the meaning of protecting your prayers? Who will tell me? Any other thought? Guarding or protecting your prayers? Nuruddin, you have your hand raised. Please go ahead.
Yes, sir. I think we are not following any distraction around us. Even if there is somebody talking, laughing, or maybe joking, so we just focus on our prayer, and that's it.
Yes, excellent. So you have to focus and protect your prayers. You have to make sure that you are praying in a very nice way, the way it should be prayed, and you're making sure that you're not getting distracted. Jazakallahu khairan. Here, and another angle could be that they are really worried about their prayers. What do you protect when you're worried about something? It should not, nothing should happen to this thing. I want to protect it. That's the meaning of guarding as well. That means that they are really, first of all, attentive about the timings. They never miss it. They try to pray in the allotted times of all the 5 prayers that has been given. That's how they are guarding, because you move from one time to another time as well. and you have to pray Fajr from a certain time to another time. Similarly, Zohar, Asr, and all the rest of them, right? So the guarding means that they are the ones protecting and making sure that they are praying in those certain times. And then, as you guys rightly said, they're also protecting the way they are praying as well, not getting distracted, focusing on what they're saying. And then, as we read earlier as well, that they are also submissive during their prayers. So here, guarding means that you guard something that is really precious for you. And when something is precious for you, then you really take care of it. You try to do the best, your best in order to fulfill that obligation in the best possible way. So they are the ones who are also guarding their prayers and making sure they're doing it the right way and not missing them at any time. So what will happen to all of these points? Those who believe they are successful and they do all of these points that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentioned. And at the end, what will be the result? Ulaika humul warisun. Those are the inheritors. Those will get something. What will they get? In the next ayah, Alladina yarisunal firdaus. Those who will inherit the paradise. Paradise, firdaus, is considered to be the highest level of paradise. Hum fiha khalidun. They will abide in it forever. I see a hand raised. Please go ahead. Is there a comment or a question?
Yes, sir. Just one comment on the protection of prayer. Also, I think like anything that we protect, we don't want to lose it so easily. So I think it is very important for us that like it's in the Quran, inna salata tanha anil fahsha'i wal munkar. So with any bad deed, any morality, we should not lose the benefit or the reward that we have earned from the treasure that is salah.
Jazakallah khairan, Jazakallah khairan. Excellent build. And you're right, 100%. Okay, moving forward. So those who will, so we're talking about the end reward for all. So those people who do all of the things that are listed there as we went through, the final reward is that they will get into paradise, the highest form of paradise, and they will be living in it forever. So if we were just to quickly recap all the key elements. Number one, we said we have to first of all keep asking, do we want to be amongst the believers who will be truly successful? I'm sure each one of us will say, yes, we want to be successful. We want to be among the believers. We want to go to Jannah. But the important thing is, are you doing something about it? So we have to take actions. It's not just that, yes, I get the knowledge and yes, I will be, I want to go to Jannah, and intent is there. The first thing is the intent. The second thing is the action. So you have to make sure that you're becoming a better Muslim every day. So what was the list? Those who offer their prayers with full submissiveness. Those are the true believers who will be successful. Number two was those who turn away from a love. Love, we read, was it is anything dirty, false, evil, vain, that is not useful, falsehood, and all that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has forbidden us. And as we discussed, there are multiple content and multiple things that gets thrown to us and, on our face. So what we have to do as true believers is to turn away and ask and say no to them, regardless of how many people are doing it, regardless of how many people in your class are doing it. It doesn't make it right. What is wrong is wrong. Even if you are alone standing and saying, I will not watch it, I will not do it, then you will be rewarded for taking that stand alone. So being alone is not bad as long as you are in the right path. Being with everyone else, with the majority, all your friends, entire class, and doing something wrong still doesn't make it right, and that is gravely wrong. So don't try to belong to a group. Don't try to belong to a group of friends just because, you want to be with them, so you will do whatever pleases them or whatever, I want to be part of the group. Otherwise, I won't be cool. If I don't do this, then I won't be seen as cool. These are traps of shaitan. You have to sometimes stand alone, and I know it is not easy. By the way, I'm not saying that it is very easy because, we all have desires. We want to be seen, we want to be appreciated, we want to be seen cool, we want to be followed, and we want to be, these days on social media, we want to have likes and views and everything. So we are seeing what is the trend on TikTok or Snapchat and all of this. Let me create that content that gets followed and all of this. Don't get into this trap of what everyone else is doing. Don't get into the trap of getting liked by so many, or being belonging to a group of friends. Otherwise, my friends will not even talk to me, or they will leave me. What will I do? It doesn't matter. This is a test. This life is a test. So, and you will be able to find good friends. Try to find friends that get you closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, not away, getting you closer to Islam and not away from Islam. So I hope this point is clear. So those who turned away from Allah, these are the ones who are the true believers who will be successful. Those who pay the zakat, obligatory charity, and purify themselves with certain acts, as we discussed. Those who guard their chastity, the private parts, from illegal sexual acts, except from their wives and spouses. This we discussed in detail as well. Those who are faithfully true to their amana. So they fulfill their amana, they fulfill the duties which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has ordained. They are honest, their morals are high, they keep their trust, and they also keep their covenants, meaning promises. They fulfill their promises. Once you make a promise, then you fulfill it, because you're not promising the other person, you're promising yourself that you will do that task. Those who strictly guard their prayers at their fixed times, as we discussed. So those are the ones Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying who will inherit Firdaus or paradise. So this is the complete list of success in this life and hereafter. And if you look at this list, it's so easy and it facilitates our life. Certain things can be difficult. I completely understand. I'm not saying that, by the way, Jannah is also not easy. We have to strive to get to Jannah, right? So this is the list, and it is easy in terms of it's only 6 points, right? But then I understand practically it can be difficult. But then those who will take the difficult but right path are the ones who will be truly successful. And it's always the case, even in this world, if you want to get something good or great, you have to really strive for it. Here we are talking about success in the hereafter. So definitely we have to strive for it. And definitely we have to do certain things and abstain from certain things that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has asked us not to do. So these were the amazing first 11-12 ayahs of this amazing surah, Surah Al Muminun, giving us all these key concrete actions. Any questions, any comments before I move forward from here? Excellent. Okay, let's proceed. وَلَقَدْ خَلَقْنَا الْإِنسَانَ مِنْ سُلَالَةٍ مِنْ طِينٍ. Now we will go through the creation of mankind. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is now reminding us of our origin, that what we are created from. So there should be no arrogance left anyways. This makes you humble as well. And indeed, we created the humankind from an essence of clay. So this is our origin. This is how we have been created. ثُمَّ جَعَلْنَاهُ نُطْفَةً فِي قَرَارٍ مَكِينٍ. Then we placed him as a drop of semen in a firm resting place. So what happens is, when a child, before a child is being born, as a result of the reproductive process that happens between the male and the female, when they get into the sexual act, the semen, the drop semen from the male is passed on to the female, and that female, basically the egg inside the female is fertilized, and then the entire reproductive cycle starts within a female when she gets pregnant, and then the entire the formation of the baby and the final delivery and all of that happens. So here, this is the opening statement, and then in the next ayah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will explain to us the process. So here, then we placed him as a drop of semen in a firm resting place, meaning the semen gets transferred to the female and then fertilizes the egg inside the female, and now the baby development has started. Now look at the amazing details that were shared 1400 years before by the Holy Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam as part of the revelation from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala without any technology, and it gets confirmed by science today. So let's go through it. Summa خلقنا النطفة علقة فخلقنا العلقة مزغة فخلقنا المزغة عظاما فكسونا العظام لحما ثم أنشأناه خلقا آخر. Then we created the semen drop into a clinging substance when the drop attaches itself to the egg itself, the female egg. So the drop from male and the egg from female, and it turns into a clinging substance. Then we created the clinging substance into an embryonic lump. It becomes like a lump. And then we create the embryonic lump into bones. Bones start to appear. Then we clothe the bones with flesh. On top of those bones, when they're created, flesh starts to appear. And then we produce it as another creation. And then it becomes the amazing creation of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, which is the human being itself. This is happening like this has happened billions of times, and this creation is continuing to happening by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. فَتَبَارَكَ ahsanul khaliqeen. So blessed is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the best of the creators. Now remember this entire cycle that just happened in front of us. This is being revealed by the Holy Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, the step-by-step creation of a human embryo inside the female. And let's see what the science says today. In fact, before we go, there is a comment in chat, Subhanallah, and that is correct. Subhanallah, which is why this is how we say, and yes, Subhanallah. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is pure from everything, and he is the best of the creator. So I was just searching for it, and just look at the stages the way they are being defined. I'll just remove this from here so that you guys can see. So here, if you see this GIF, yeah, if you see this GIF here, this is the fertilized egg, and look at the processes and the stages that it is going through and how it creates into a lump. This lump gets shaped, and then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives it inside, the bones get created, the flesh gets created. The step by step, especially from this part, the drop of semen going into the female, turning into an egg, forming a lump, alaqa, and then all the details that were shared. This is, subhanallah, this is astonishing. First of all, this creation and this cycle is astonishing. This is our, sorry, is there a comment? Yes, Abdul Razak, please go ahead. You were trying to make a comment. Abdul Razak. Okay, maybe it got unmuted by mistake. No problem. We will continue. So I was saying just this process of the creation is amazing, and this is enough to bring anyone and to turn anyone into a believer and start believing in our amazing creator. Number one. Number two, the fact that it was revealed by the Holy Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam 1400 years ago without any tech advancement. These details tells us that the source of information was Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and this revelation is indeed coming from our creator. And such facts mentioned in the Quran are a sign for us to correct our lives before it gets too late. Okay, Jazakallah, Abdul Razak. I think there was a problem in the internet. No problem. Okay, so I hope this point is clear, and we can continue on to the next point. Okay, Summa innakum ba'da zalika lamayyitun. Then indeed, after that, surely you will die. So here Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala stated a beautiful fact of our own creation, and we saw it. And now science is proving it. Now Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is stating another fact that surely you will die. And eventually everyone dies, right? This is a historical, this is like a universal fact. No one can say, yes, I've been here in this world for, and I say this multiple times, I know, during my lesson. No one can claim that, you know, I've been living here for 50,000 years or 100,000 years and I haven't died. No, everybody dies. That's a reality, regardless of you're a Muslim or a non-Muslim. So indeed, after that, everyone dies. Summa innakum yawmal qiyamati tubasun. Then indeed, on the day of resurrection, all of the people will be resurrected. This is something that people don't really believe on, and they have issue believing. And this has been happening since the times of the initial prophets and messengers that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sent, and in front of the Holy Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, everybody used to say, okay, so we will be resurrected once we have gone down in our graves and we are dead. We go into the dead ground and we are only bones are left. Then you think Allah SWT will recreate us? Just look at the process of creation that came in the previous ayah. What were we created from? A drop. Allah SWT created us from a drop. So why can't Allah SWT raise us again as well? Then indeed, on the day of resurrection, you will be resurrected. Everyone will be resurrected, and Allah SWT has the power to do that. And this is something that we really need to again believe. So Allah SWT started us from our creation, how it was, from nothing, how we were created, and then eventually we die, and it is very easy for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to raise us back again. وَلَقَدْ خَلَقْنَا فَوْقَكُمْ سَبْعَ طَرَائِقَ. And indeed, we have created above you 7 paths, 7 heavens and 7 skies. وَمَا كُنَّا عَنِ الْخَلْقِ غَافِلِينَ. We are and not of the creation unaware. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is aware of each and everything He has created. Anything on the earth, anything in the skies, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows the entire creation because He is the creator, right? So if you, let's say there's a party and you're cooking, or somebody is cooking for that party, and they create all the dishes and small and all of these things. So they would know what they have created, right? They would know that, yes, I prepared a starter or a meal or a dessert or a this, and they would know each and every ingredient that has gone into it and everything. So this is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has the absolute knowledge of everything. He's the one who has created everything and definitely knows. And which is why here Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying we are not unaware about any of our creation across all the 7 skies. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows everything that has been created. وَأَنزَلْنَا مِنَ السَّمَاءِ مَاءً. And we send down from the sky water. Again, this is reassuring us. When rain happens and it falls on the dead ground, what happens? Life emerges. Plants emerge. Fruits emerge. What do? We barely do anything by putting just planting a seed. We plant a seed and then we pray to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We put some soil, we put some water, and then, rain happens and everything. Even if we don't plant that seed, all of the vegetation, the agriculture and everything that you look around, we look around ourselves, is basically Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala giving life from the dead soil and plants emerging. We read this in the previous lessons as well. So this again tells us how easy it is for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to raise us on the day of judgment. بِقَدَرٍ فَأَسْكَنَّاهُ فِي الْأَرْضِ. And we cause it to settle in due measure on the earth. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows how much water is even needed in the earth for life to flourish. If there is too much water, it starts to flood. And if there is flooding, then no life can flourish, right? So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala does it in a measured way. وَإِنَّا عَلَىٰ ذَهَابٍ بِهِ لَقَادِرُونَ. And indeed, we on it surely are able to take it away. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives life and He's able to take it away. There are barren lands where rain doesn't happen, and we know what happens, and there is hardly any life there. There is no signs of life, right? There are deserts and multiple barren lands. And there can be that there was an agricultural land or there was a cultivable land. However, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made it dry. Many rivers have dried. Many pieces of lands have become barren before they were being cultivated. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has control over everything. فَأَنْشَأْنَا لَكُمْ بِهِ جَنَّاتٍ مِّن نَخِيلٍ وَأَعْنَابٍ. Then we produce for you by it gardens of date palms and grapevines, everything that gets cultivated after rain and everything that happens. لَكُمْ فِيهَا فَوَاكِهُ كَثِيرَةٌ وَمِنْهَا تَأْكُلُونَ. For you in it are fruits abundant from them, and then you eat and you get your own energy as well. Okay. So again, what comes out from the dead soil in itself has life and is showing us signs of life. Then we benefit from it and we eat from it. And everything that we eat as a source of life for us to sustain our life, again, is coming from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. وَشَجَرَةً تَخْرُجُ مِنْ طُورِ صَيْنَاءَ تَنْبُتُ بِالدُّهْنِ وَسِبْغٍ لِلْآكِلِينَ. And a tree that springs forth from Mount Sinai, which produces oil and a relish for those who eat. So this was again given to Bani Israel as well, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is reminding of the many nemas or many things, many elements of risk or food that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has bestowed upon the mankind. وَإِنَّ لَكُمْ فِي الْأَنْعَامِ لَعِبْرَةً. And indeed for you in the cattle surely is the lesson. So there is cattle again as a sign of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. How Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave us all this cattle to benefit from. From the start, we benefit from their milk, then their meat, and even after skin for leather goods and everything that gets made, and sometimes their teeth and ivory, all of these things. So we take benefits from all this. And there are signs in it. Who's the creator? There has to be a creator of all of this, right? And indeed for you in cattle, there is a lesson. نُسْقِيكُمْ مِمَّا فِي بُطُونِهَا وَلَكُمْ فِيهَا مَنَافِعُ كَثِيرَةٌ وَمِنْهَا تَأْكُلُونَ. We give you drink from that in their bellies, which is the milk, and for you in them are benefits, many of them that you eat. So there are multiple benefits that we consume from, and there are different products from milk. I mean, just go to the supermarket and look at the shelf of milk and yogurt, and you'll see the variety and the benefits that we get from all of them. وَعَلَيْهَا وَعَلَى الْفُلْكِ تُحْمَلُونَ. And on them and on the ships you are carried. So there are lots of benefits, and then Allah SWT is highlighting that how we benefit in the oceans from the ships that carry us with the benefit of the wind. The sailing ships especially, they get benefit from the winds. And then the fact that the ships float on water and how water pushes them up and keep them up is also a blessing of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And now because the element of ship has come, so now we move to the story of Nuh alayhi salam as well. وَلَقَدْ أَرْسَلْنَا نُوحًا إِلَىٰ قَوْمِهِ فَقَالَ يَا قَوْمِ اعْبُدُوا اللَّهَ مَا لَكُم مِّنْ إِلَٰهٍ غَيْرُهُ أَفَلَا تَتَّقُونَ. So the story of Nuh alayhi salam, we went through it before as well, but quickly recapping, Nuh alayhi salam was Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's messenger for the people, and he kept on bringing Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's message for more than 900 years, but only a few of them believed him. Most of them continued to reject his message. And then he asked Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for help, and most of them then were punished. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala asked Nuh alayhi salam to create a big vessel, a ship, and there was no way and basically it was a valley where they were settled, and they knew that and they started making fun of him. Do you see a sea close by, an ocean, and all of this? However, he built a ship, and then water started to fall from the sky, from the side, from everywhere. Everyone was drowned except those who were on the ship. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala also instructed Nuh alayhi salam, in order to sustain life, to have pairs of male and female animals, as well as those people who were believing, to get on board on that ship so that they are protected. And then the rest of all the disbelieving people, they were eliminated and punished with a very severe flood with water that came from all sides. Now let's go through the story. And verily we sent Nuh to his people, and he said, O my people, worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. There is no God for you except him. Then will you not fear with what you are doing? All the shirk that you are doing, you should be fearing Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Sorry, there is a point. There is a question mentioned in chat. If you can repeat verse number 20 and 21. Let me see quickly if I can do that. 20. وَشَجَرَةً تَخْرُجُ مِنْ تُورِ صَيْنَاءَ تَنْبُتُ بِالدُّهْنِ وَسِبْغٍ لِلْآكِلِينَ. And a tree that springs forth from Mount Sinai, which produces oil and a relish for those who eat. So this is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is mentioning Mount Sinai, we know, is related to where Musa alayhi salam, Prophet Musa alayhi salam also went in, and he used to converse with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and there were a lot of blessings that came in during that time on Bani Israel as well. And before that, if we see the previous ayahs, we get to how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying he gives life, and he gives food, and he sustains life in this world. Then if we move forward, وَإِنَّ لَكُمْ فِي الْأَنْعَامِ لَإِبْرَةً, and indeed for you in the cattle, surely there is a lesson. If you look at the cattle, if you look at the cows, the lambs, the goats, and everything, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying there is a lesson for you. How Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is sustaining life, how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given them to us as a benefit. نُسْقِيكُم مِّمَّا فِي بُطُونِهَا وَلَكُمْ فِيهَا مَنَافِعُ كَثِيرَةٌ وَمِنْهَا تَأْكُلُونَ. We give you drink from it and from their bellies, which is the milk, and for you there are multiple benefits, and many of these animals and cattle you also eat. So you fulfill your thirst with the milk, and you get benefits from it, you get all the energy, and then you also eat their flesh and you eat their meat as well. So I hope this is clear. We will quickly move forward. So Nuh alayhi salam asked his people to worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala alone, and there is no God except Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and he asked them to fear. Now, the response of the people and the chiefs at that time. فَقَالَ الْمَلَأُ الَّذِينَ كَفَرُوا مِنْ قَوْمِهِ مَا هَذَا إِلَّا بَشَرٌ مِثْلُكُمْ. But said the chiefs of those who disbelieved among his people, this is not a man like you. Why should we follow him? Why should we? He wants maybe to take up.
Can you please repeat the ayah verse number 21 and 22?
sorry, verse number 21 and 22. I will just look at it. We just went through them. 22. 21 is here, and indeed for you in the kettle surely is a lesson. We give you drink from that is in their bellies, and for you in them are benefits. Many of them you eat. This is number
21 and 20.
Yes, this is number 21. Okay. So in number 21, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is talking about cattle. Cattle is basically all the animals that we benefit from, like cows, lambs, goats. All of these are cattle, even camels, right? So we benefit. How do we benefit from them? We take their milk, we drink it, it gives us benefit. Sometimes we slaughter them and we eat their meat. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying there are signs of for people when they just look at these cattle as well. Okay. Moving forward, وَعَلَيْهَا وَعَلَى الْفُلْكِ تُحْمَلُونَ, and on them and on the ships you are carried. So there are benefits, other benefits as well. And for example, how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala helps us to navigate and travel through the ships. And on the ships, of course, especially in old times, they used to be sailing on water, and even today, we benefit from the wind and the way the ship floats on water. So all of these are benefits from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala on how and these are signs for us to look at that the ship, how we are able to control such big ships or how we are able to navigate through the seas. It is only a blessing of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Are these points clear? Nuruddin, you have your hand raised. Do you have any comment?
Yes, sir, I wanted to ask if this class is getting recorded or not.
Sorry, what is the question? I missed it. Sorry.
The class getting recorded or not? This one.
The Quran is what?
This class is getting recorded or not?
Yes, the class is getting recorded. Yes. The class is getting recorded. Yes. Okay. All right. Moving forward very quickly. So when Nuh alayhi salam gave dawah to the people, what did the chief said? But the chief said of those who disbelieved among them, this is not a man, but just like you. So why should we believe him? He's just a man like us. Why is he getting the revelation and we are not getting the revelation? Yuridu an yatafazzala alaykum. He wishes to assert his superiority over you. He wants to become our chief and our ruler. So he wants to take over power, which is why he's saying such thing that he is getting the revelation also. This is how they started blaming Nuh alayhi salam. وَلَوْ شَاءَ اللَّهُ لَأَنزَلَ مَلَائِكَةً. And if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala had willed, surely he would have sent down angels. So now these are the arguments that the chiefs of those people are putting in front of Nuh alayhi salam and his people. And they're asking the people not to follow him, because if that would have happened, if he would have received the revelation, then angels would have come down from the sky. And they're trying to say all of these things just to misguide people and not follow Nuh alayhi salam. Ma sami'na bihaza fi aba'ina al-awwalin. And we have not heard of this from our forefathers. Everything that he's saying, believe in one God, follow one God, we have not heard this from our forefathers. We will continue to follow our forefathers. So this is how they tried to oppose Nuh alayhi salam when he brought in the message of oneness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and following the guidance. In huwa illa rajulum bihi jinnatun fatarabbasu bihi hatta heen. He's not but a man in him, and he's a madman. So let us wait concerning a time, the thing will get sorted. So he's just a madman, don't follow him. After a certain time, he will forget about it, and all of these things will get settled. Don't try to follow. So, and this part of the last part of the ayah also means that eventually, obviously, all of these things will get settled. These arguments that they were having on the day of judgment, they will get to know the reality when everything is revealed. In fact, the time we die, the truth is revealed to us, so they will get the reality. Qala Rabbin surni bima kazzabun. He said, my Lord, help me because they deny me. Now, Nuh alayhi salam, Prophet Nuh alayhi salam asked for help from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. فَأَوْحَيْنَا إِلَيْهِ أَنِسْ نَعِلْ فُلْكَ بِأَعْيُنِنَا وَوَحْيِنَا فَإِذَا جَاءَ أَمْرُنَا وَفَارَتَ النُّورُ. And so we inspired to him that construct the ship under our eyes. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala asked him to construct a ship and our inspiration, and he told him how to build that ship, because Nuh alayhi salam did not know how to build a ship. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala guided him and gave him exact instructions how to build the ship. And then comes to our command, the gaseous force, the oven. So there was a heating element and everything that was created so that the ship can be built, and it has to be a very large and strong ship. First look, fiha min kullin zawjainis naini wa ahlaka illa man sabaqa alayhi alqawlu minhum. So what happened is, then put into it of every kind of mates two, and your family except those who has preceded against whom the word thereof. So basically Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala asked Nuh alayhi salam to put pairs of different animals, male, female, so that they are also part and they are inside the ship, because when the flood will come and everything else eliminated, then when the water is gone, when the water goes down, the ship will be open and all the animals can walk around, and then the people who are believers, they can move around and life can be restarted. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala asked him to keep pairs of all the pairs of animals inside that ship, and all the believers to get inside that ship, those who were following him, except those whom the message has gone in and they were disbelievers. وَلَا تُخَاطِبْنِي فِي الَّذِينَ ظَلَمُوا إِنَّهُمْ مُغْرَقُونَ. And do not address me concerning those who wrong. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave special instructions to Nuh alayhi salam that do not talk about those people who have already done wrong. Indeed, they are the ones to be drowned. All of them will get drowned. فَإِذَا اسْتَوَيْتَ أَنْتَ وَمَنْ مَعَكَ عَلَى الْفُلْكِ فَقُلِ الْحَمْدُ لِلَّهِ الَّذِي نَجَّانَا مِنَ الْقَوْمِ الظَّالِمِينَ. And when you have boarded, you and whoever is with you on the ship, then say, praise be to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala who has saved us from the people who are wrongdoers. So all of the people who were remaining outside of the ship, they were punished and they were drowned in that water. And those who were inside the ship, they were asked to pray in this way, to thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for saving them from the wrongdoers and also saving them from the punishment that was given to all the other people. وَقُلْ رَبِّ أَنزِلْنِي مُنْزَلًا مُبَارَكًا وَأَنْتَ خَيْرُ الْمُنْزِلِينَ. And say, my Lord, cause me to land at a landing place, bring our ship to a place that is blessed, and you are the best of those who can cause it. Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the one who was protecting that ship even from the flood that was happening from the top and the right and everything that was happening. And imagine the sort of the fierce flood that would have come, that eliminated entire life, eliminated all the people who were disbelievers. So here Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala even taught the prayer to Nuh alayhi salam, Prophet Nuh alayhi salam, as well as his followers, on how to pray and thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for his blessing, and to make that ship land or stay at a place that is safe for them. Inna fi zalika la ayatin wa in kunna la mubtalin. Indeed, these are surely the signs, and indeed we are surely testing. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will test. So he was testing initially, and if you look at the story of Nuh alayhi salam, he was being tested for 900 years. It is not easy to continue to convince people and try to bring them on the message, and they continue to make fun of you. And we saw and we read things that they were saying as if, you know, he's a mad person, he wants to take power, and he is, why the angels are not coming from the sky, and we haven't seen our forefathers doing this, all of this. So we saw a lot of the things that went in against Nuh alayhi salam, and how he was patient and he was being tested, yet he was patient. So and this is an amazing story to learn patience and sabr from Nuh alayhi salam, and that he kept on bringing in the message for 900 plus years, while only a few people were the ones who believed in him. So this marks the end of today's lesson. I will just quickly check the chat, sir. I think Angel guided, yes. Yes, so the revelation was coming to Nuh alayhi salam. In the surah, it doesn't mention this, but the inspiration or the revelation was coming from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala via the angels as well. Because we know none of the prophets other than Musa alayhi salam had a direct conversation with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So Musa alayhi salam was the only prophet. The rest of the prophets were brought in messages by angel and Jibreel alayhi salam, as we know. Okay, any other comment, any other thing before we close today's class and quickly go through the actions that we discussed? So the most important actions from today's class were when we went through the initial ayahs from ayah number 1 until 12, where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala defined for us who are the believers who will be truly successful and the definition of believer. So we need to continuously ask ourselves throughout this life that if we want to be a true believer and if we are moving into that direction, if the answer is yes, then we need to continue improving and be a better Muslim every day. Now, what is the list that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave us? Those who offer their prayers with full submissiveness. So they are the ones who submit to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and they are the ones who realize that they're standing in front of their creator that makes them humble. And that's how they pray. Those who turn away from Allah, we discussed in detail all the things that we are not supposed to watch or do, dirty, false, evil, vain, falsehood, and we get thrown at, especially in the current time, a lot of this content gets thrown at us, so we have to turn away. And here Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying those who turn away from Allah, meaning they will get exposure to Allah, they will get exposed to love, but the true believers are the ones who turn away from it. And everything that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has forbidden, they try to turn away from. Those who pay the zakah, the obligated charity, because that also purifies them when they give away money and they're helping others, that humbles them, that softens their hearts. Those who guard their chastity, that is their private parts, from illegal sexual acts. So there is a way that male and female have been given to fulfill their desires, which is via nikah, via marriage. Outside of it, we are not allowed, and it is a grave sin, and it is zina, and which is why anything that can lead on to fuel that desire while you are not married or while you don't have a way to fulfill that desire via marriage or your spouse or your wife or your husband, then you have to stay away from all those things, because otherwise your desire can be fueled and then you can get into an act that is haram or that is zina. So we have to guard that chastity. Then those who are faithfully true to their amana and they keep their promises, anything, all the duties towards Allah, of course, they are fulfilling, they are honest, they have high morals, and they are trustworthy, and they are keeping their covenants or their promises. So they are the ones who are trustworthy in terms of they keep their promises. And finally, those who strictly guard their prayers. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, if you look at these points, the first point started with prayer, with submissiveness. And the last point also came in with prayers, those who guard their prayers, those who protect their prayers, meaning those who are praying them on their designated times, who are not getting distracted, who are staying focused. And prayer is also a way of goodness as well, right? So, and it keeps us connected with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So those people who do all of this, they are the ones who will inherit Firdaus, which is paradise and the highest form of paradise. So I hope all points are clear. Are there any questions, any comments before we close today's class? Okay. Subhanallah wa bihamdi, subhanakallahumma wa bihamdika, ashhadu an la ilaha illa anta, astaghfiruka wa atubu ilaik. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, my dear brothers. Inshallah, I will see you guys not next week, but week after next, because next week will be Eid. So we will have a Eid break, inshallah, in our lessons. So we will meet on the week after Eid, same time on Saturday. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.